This video is made for adult collectors because, well, Soundwave just cannot stand. And I cannot stand him. Well, this should be interesting. These old boxes were always a pain in the butt to get into. Alright, as much as I miss the old packaging design, because this looks fantastic, I much prefer opening the new ones, because these are always a nightmare and painful. But I picked this up at my local shop. These are both sealed. I've had both of these molds before, and they were always used when I got them, so they were never in the best condition. And I know a lot of people don't really like these two molds that much. I mean, people like this guy more than they like this guy, but Canon Bumblebee is a real sore point for a lot of people, and this Soundwave has some weird things going on. So I figured, why not just try them brand new and see if that changes my opinion on anything. But yeah, the old Revenge of the Fallen packaging looks awesome, but it is very wasteful. There's a lot of empty space in there that they could be shoved together a bit more, and I get it now. We're in. Oh, the old laminated instructions. Is it just Bumblebees? Oh, it's double-sided, and they put both on one. I've never actually seen that before. That's kind of cool. Bumblebee's free. He doesn't feel great already. And that's Soundwave free. Let's see if his hips do the, oh. Yeah, they still do the thing. That's fun. So yeah, all the issues I've had with these toys previously is present right out of the box. The last copy of Canon B I had loose hips, and the mold is just strange, and Soundwave did the splits, and this one does too. This is Soundwave and Bumblebee from the Revenge of the Fallen Nest 2-pack, this one. And this is based off of a Cyber Missions episode, or well, released in tandem or something, I don't know. But this is the first episode of Cyber Missions. Remember that? In this episode, oh god.
Welcome, friend.
But in this episode, Bumblebee is left behind at Nest's base and Soundwave attacks him. Then Soundwave tells B something complicated about sound, but Bumblebee just shoots him a bunch and he fucking dies. So the show was rough. But what about the toy? No, the toys are also rough. Canon B is, to me, one of the worst Bumblebees to release for the movies. The hips being loose is fixable, but the rest, well, the details are fine. I have no issues with the sculpting on this toy. The paint is a bit lacking, but what it lacks in paint, it makes up for in plastic color difference. The way they do the legs specifically, it's really neat. Head is tiny and very flat, like the mask is just stuck to his face. The red on the, in the middle is really funky too. Not to mention the back is that. It also doesn't really do much. Posing is I'll touch on that later, but it's called Canon Bumblebee because it has shoulder cannons. Though with the name and given the automorph phase of Transformers, I was kind of hoping these would spring out, but it's still a neat inclusion to have them. He looks really wide. The mid-torso is just too wide due to the seats being there, and the front of the chest is very unchanged. The front end of the car doesn't do the whole breaking up and shifting thing to make the accurate look from the film, and this looks super plain. Soundwave is a bit different, but that's just because he didn't have a robot mode in the film till he took the form of the SLS AMG. As a design, this robot mode looks great, but like, this toy is allergic to tabs. All of this stuff back here feels like it doesn't have a dedicated place to go, and then there's the strange hip design. There is a ball joint at the hip, but it's constructed in such a way so that it can fold away, which is fine. That's how the transformation needs to work. But the cut for the joint is at the top, meaning the legs move up easier, and due to the lack of grip at his feet and the top heaviness of the design, he likes to do the splits. He also has gorilla arms just like Bumblebee, and a giant missile sticking out of his back, but that's more for alt mode. Head sculpt is great. I like the silver and all the tiny details, but yeah, he ain't great. This is how he has to stand, otherwise he'll just fall over. We'll do him after. So Bumblebee's posing is there. It's not great. So the head's on a ball joint, but like it can only really rotate and maybe tilt. Actually, you can tilt quite a bit, but you can't really look up. Up is like nothing. Down, really nice, though he just looks into his own chest. Shoulders, they are on ball joints. They can do a 360. They can only go out that far because of the shoulder pad. Whoa. Because of the shoulder pad. This doesn't tab in, so if you press right at the chest here, it will just pop open. You do have 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. You have That came right off. You have thumb that can open, nothing at the waist, and as you saw, This doesn't really like to tab in. So there are 2 tabs right at the top here that lock into 2 slots right here. And they sit in there pretty fine, but well, apparently not, because they just keep coming out. This happened on all of my copies of this mold. It's not great. The hips can go forward that far. They can go back that far. They can only go out that far unless you move this forward. Then the hips can go out further. But like I said, the hips are a little loose. He does have drop down hips because of the transformation. So he can kick a little bit higher up. No thigh swivel. You do have a little under 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then the feet can move forward and back, and he has toe articulation. So like if he stay together, if he had thigh swivels and a waist joint, I think this would be great. Even with the gorilla arms, I think it would still be great. But he does not have any of those. He kind of sucks. Speaking of, he fell over. Speaking of sucks, Soundwave. So, oh god. The head is on a ball joint and this little rocking hinge thing, that's for transformation. But it rotates at like an angle because of all the stuff around his chest. The shoulders, they're on ball joints. They can do a full 360. They can go out that far. You have bicep rotation, double jointed elbows, nothing at the wrist, so also gorilla armed, nothing at the waist. Hips can go forward. They can go back, in and out. You have a thigh rotation. Take that, Bumblebee. More than 90 degrees of bend at the knee. The ankles can go down. They can go up a little bit. And he does have an ankle tilt. So there's quite a lot of posing on here, and I would be okay with the gorilla arms if his hips would like not do that. There he goes. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. It's great. But a lot of times I find I have to, oh, and this doesn't peg in this chest piece. So you can kind of consider it an ab crunch, but like you start transforming him when you do that. So the robots are rough. Posing the 2 is strange. Just standing them can be a bit of a chore. But let's see if the vehicles make this any better. Okay, for transformations, I'm also going to start with Bumblebee because that's the wrong Bumblebee. Let's get the easy one out of the way. I almost pulled in Battle Blades Bumblebee, which is a much better figure. Please go get one. This Bumblebee. So to start with, you do the generic fold up the feet and the whole thing just sort of automorphs together. Then you peg the legs together, shift the hips down, fold this section out, bring these panels up. They will peg in. And then I'm just going to peg this together for now, just to get it finished and out of the way. Then we're going to bring the windshield up. Actually, you know what? I'm just realizing that I'm dumb and we should do this last. Bring that up, fold the cannons in, flip the head into the chest. Bring this out, fold that up. Now bring all this up. Get that into place there. Shut the door. Shut the doors. Make sure it's like actually fed underneath. There we go. Fold you can fold these flaps out underneath here and then fold the seats up, and that sort of completes the dashboard look on the inside. And then you take the arms, you rotate them around and just tuck them in there. Rotate the arms around, tuck them in there. And that's Bumblebee. Well, hang on. We got camber on his wheels. There we go. Soundwave is allergic to being fun, apparently, because I don't like doing this transformation. So to start with, we're going to bring these and flatten them out. Now, what I like to do is to sort of just flip them out this way and flare them out like that. That's the way I like them to look in vehicle mode. Then we are going to undo all of this, bring all this down and back, fold that up, fold the whole torso up, get the head tucked into its little hidey hole flap there, and bring this down first, then peg the legs together. There you go. Now it looks better. I'm going to leave these up here for now because we're going to take the arms, shift them up, throw on a double hinge, and then you tuck the hands in. They don't peg in, they just sort of sit in the hollow space that's been formed by the shoulders not being where they used to be. Get this all. Why aren't you fitting in place? See, like I said, allergic to fun. So once we have all of that situated, I'm then just going to bring these down here. And that's satellite mode. Yay. That is one great Camaro. They nailed the car mode. It works so well. There's a bit of underkibble, but it's not too bad. I will say the roof section has never liked to sit flush on any copy of this mold I've owned. It's always just looked off. Soundwave, though, looks really cool, but again, he doesn't have any tabs and spots that he really needs them. There's also a third mode of sorts, but yeah, I just forget about that. The colors with the red fading into the silver work so well. There's a lot of blue though, like a little bit more breakup on the alt mode would have been nice. He can fire his missile, which is Ravage's re-entry pod. That's neat. Though it comes from the top and not from the bottom like in the film. There also isn't a great way to display this figure. The Studio Series 1 rectifies that by including a stand at the expense of its nice silver paint. But I'll probably just bust out one of the mini YOLO Park stands I have and just clip him to that. But these two, yeah, I don't really recommend these. While I wasn't a huge fan of Studio Series Soundwave, it holds together better than this. And Bumblebee. Oh, Bumblebee. This thing shared the shelves with the first movie mold all the way until Battle Blade's time on the shelf. And those two are much better options for an older toy of movie Bumblebee. But that's my look at Canon Bumblebee and Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.